I invite Alexiane, and at Alexiane's request, her whole family, to come forward and light our chalice. Please all join in reading our community's covenant found up here and in your order of service, first in Spanish and then in English. Nos entregamos y nos comprometemos para caminar juntos como congregación, prometiendo con mucha fe cuidarnos mutuamente y deleitarnos en el amor que permanecerá entre nosotros. We give ourselves one unto another, covenanting to walk together as a congregation, promising faithfully to watch over one another and to delight for love to abide in our midst. And I invite Kay forward to lead us in the time for everybody.
Today is Palm Sunday, which means I need to tell a story about a horse and a donkey. A long time ago, Pontius Pilate was riding into Jerusalem on a horse. Now, Pontius Pilate worked for the emperor. Has anyone seen Star Wars? Does anyone know who the Empire is in Star Wars? Oliver, do you want to tell us who the Empire is in Star Wars? Don't remember? Kira, do you remember? Who are they?
They're the bad guy.
Yeah, the Empire's the bad guys. So Pontius Pilate worked for the empire. He believed that the emperor was king, and he believed that the emperor was like God. So Pontius Pilate was riding in on his horse, followed by a big line of soldiers with armor and weapons and horses. They wanted to show the people that the emperor was in charge. And they chose to ride on horses because horses are big and horses are strong. And they wanted to show that the empire was big and the empire was strong. And all the people were quiet as the empire marched by. They knew they would... They were quiet. It's back. Thank you. Well, just a few blocks down the road, there was a person named Jesus. If you were here for our Christmas pageant, you might remember Jesus as the little baby with Mary and Joseph that couldn't find a place to stay. Jesus did not like the empire. Jesus believed that love was king. Jesus believed that love was God. And he wanted to show the people of Jerusalem that they didn't have to be afraid. So he told his friends, go get me a donkey. A donkey? Now, a donkey is not like a horse. Horses are big, donkeys are small. Horses are strong, donkeys are loud. So Jesus rode into the center of town on this donkey. He said, I'm going to parade through town just like Pontius Pilate, and I'm going to show people that a better world is possible. And as Jesus started to ride towards town, people understood his message. Regular people, just like donkeys, are small, but regular people, just like donkeys, can be very, very loud. The people started to shout and scream. They shouted messages of hope. They believed that a better world was possible, a world where love is king. So today, we're gonna practice being small and loud and believing that a better world is possible. So everybody should have some small little poster board in their pews. And there are clear pouches on the back of your pew that have markers in them. People take a second to find that. Awesome. Now, we might have to get up and move around. Some people might have more poster board than others. Some people might have a marker color that you need, that you want, and that's what community is about. So we're gonna take a few moments, and I want you to think. I want you to imagine that a new, better world is riding in through this sanctuary, just like Jesus rode in on his donkey. What world are you shouting for today? What hosanna, what prayer for saving is written on your heart? When that new world comes riding in, what message do you want written on your sign? We're gonna take a few moments for everybody to make their protest signs, and then we'll come back together.
So I'm going to make an adjustment and welcome everyone into a time of stillness and thought as we work on our signs so that when Joanna comes up, we can give her our full attention. Take a moment and settle in. Think about the future you want. Think about what your sign might say. We're going to do this here in the sanctuary, not to step away from the world, but to come more fully into it. This morning began with a drum, soft and distant, and then one by one others joined until what was once far away was here among us. That is how movements begin. Not all at once, not perfectly. You might notice I rushed the tempo a little bit. But person by person, heartbeat by heartbeat. So I invite you now to notice your own breath as you write on your sign or sit in stillness. There's no need to change it. Just notice it. An inhale and an exhale. Notice that your heart too has a rhythm, steady and quiet, keeping time beneath everything else. In a world that can feel loud and urgent and overwhelming, this is where we begin. Not just the shouting, not with certainty, but with presence. Because the work we are called to do, the work against injustice, the work of love, the work of building something better, doesn't begin out there. It begins here, within us, between us. So let us be here together, breathing, listening, preparing for what the day will ask for us when we go outside and help change the world.
When Jesus arrived in Jerusalem, riding on his donkey, the people were shouting and waving palm fronds in the air. They didn't have poster board. They were waving palm fronds in the air. So I want us to practice. Can I have everyone put their protest signs up in the air? just like they did on that first. Oh my goodness, beautiful. And I want to practice making some holy riot noise today. So when I say, what do we want? You can say justice. Let's practice. What do we want? Justice. I'm going to say, when do we want it? You can say, it is urgent. We cannot wait. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. Let's practice. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. Jesus was told by the authorities, you need to make these people be quiet. And he said, if these people were quiet, I tell you, even the stones would cry out. So let us remember today that even when the empire is big and strong, we may be small, but we can still be very, very loud. Hold on to these signs, and I want you to bring them to the next protest. There will be many. And for this community, that's the Mother's Day Walk for Peace on May 10th. I will see you all at the next Holy Riot. Amen.
I invite Joanna forward to deliver a testimonial.
Good morning. My name is Joanna Hawkins, and today for the pledge drive, I'm going to share a bit of my journey to this church community. As some of you know, I grew up in a non-denominational, evangelical, fundamentalist Christian home. I actually did research to distinguish those. I was a missionary in other countries at the age of 13 and 14, which was problematic in so many ways. I was deeply steeped in dogma, so deeply steeped in dogma that my friends and I idealized dying as martyrs, being persecuted for our faith. At my most devout, I was part of 3 different churches simultaneously. When I had a crisis of faith at 16, I lost so many friendships and the sense of community belonging that anchored me. I felt a gaping hole in my life where church had been, despite knowing that I no longer fit into the communities I had been a part of. My mind was blown when I learned about Unitarian Universalism at the age of 20. Callison, Cedar, and I attended our first UU service at a UU church on my 21st birthday in Austin, Texas, almost 17 years ago. I felt overjoyed to discover that there was a place where I could be passionate about inclusivity and social justice, love science, and also nurture my spirituality. And yet, we moved around a lot and didn't stay in any place for more than a year or two. Only once, over 10 years ago, did I go so far as to become a member at a church. That wasn't sustainable in the end because I moved back to Austin and the church we were part of was in Houston. All of that said, what I was looking for in a church during those years was more about showing up for a bolus of hope, inspiration, and reflection, and less about becoming part of something larger than me. Eventually, we took a multi-year hiatus from church. When we tried out a UU church again in 2018 or 2019, Cal and I were separated, and ironically, started attending the same new church at the very same time, which was very annoying, but maybe a sign that we were meant to be together. And I struggled to come out of my shell. I had intense anxiety going to church, though I desperately needed comfort, hope, and encouragement. I'm sure this might seem unimaginable to many of you who've heard me laughing boisterously in the social hour, but most of the time I would go to the service and leave immediately before someone tried to talk to me. Or I would stand around awkwardly, maybe reservedly talk to 1 or 2 people, and then dart out. Poor Cedar, she wanted the social hour treats and didn't understand why she couldn't have them. In 2020, Cal and I started a new chapter in our relationship. After a period of separation and uncertainty, we moved to Boston, across the country from all of our family and friends. We started exploring the Boston area UU churches, including First Parish Brookline, at some point in 2021, pretty much as soon as churches returned to services in person after COVID vaccination became widespread. We didn't come all the time, but we came when we felt like it. And it was a little awkward at first trying to break into an established community, especially after a long period of everyone being so isolated. We tried a few different churches, and mostly we kept coming back here because it is a half mile from our house. And at that time, we struggled to wake up in time for an 11 a.m. service down the street, let alone across town. But I remember the moment that things began to change. By happenstance, I ended up in a conversation after church with a couple of ladies that made me laugh so hard that I felt the twinkling possibility of friendship forming. And soon after, I got roped into social gatherings outside of church and was invited over for dinners and Thanksgivings, which was so meaningful when we couldn't travel home to celebrate with family for one reason or another. Becoming a part of this community started with just a couple of people who made a consistent effort to make us feel welcomed and like an extension of their families. And over time, the connections have multiplied and deepened. The people here made me feel safe to begin coming out of my shell within a church community for the first time in years. And now, I know that I've found my community because I feel sad when I don't make it to church, or when I attend online, my heart leaps when I see people I know walk across the screen, and I wish I could hug or say hi to them. What brought me to this church was a longing for inspiration and restoration, for a place to nurture hope and a desire for connection with others. This community has been a salve for my soul on so many occasions and has been a tremendous source of joy as connections expand and deepen. This year, we became members of First Parish, which to us is a big frickin' deal. Just saying, we got married after 17 years together less than 2 years ago, so we don't rush into things. And while we have always contributed to the churches we've attended, this is the first time ever that we will be pledging. That is how much this community has come to mean to us. And Cal said to me recently, "You're becoming a church lady," which is not something I ever imagined becoming when I left church at 16, but it delights me.
The Low Road by Marge Piercy. What can they do to you? Whatever they want. They can set you up, they can bust you, they can break your fingers, they can burn your brain with electricity, blur you with drugs till you can't walk, can't remember. They can take your child, wall up your lover. They can do anything you can't stop them from doing. How can you stop them? Alone. You can fight, you can refuse, you can take what revenge you can, but they roll over you. But two people fighting back to back can cut through a mob. A snake dancing file can break a cordon. An army can meet an army. Two people can keep each other sane, can give support, conviction, love, massage, hope, sex. Three people are a delegation, a committee, a wedge. With four, you can play bridge and start an organization. With six, you can rent a whole house, eat pie for dinner with no seconds, and hold a fundraising party. A dozen make a demonstration. 100 fill a hall. 1,000 have solidarity and your own newsletter. 10,000 power and your own paper. 100,000 your own media. 10 million your own country. It goes on, one at a time. It starts when you care to act. It starts when you do it again and they say no. It starts when you say we and know who you mean. And each day you mean one more. And now's the time in our service for our offering. Remember how inspired you were by Joanna's testimonial and how, if you haven't pledged yet, you're going to run right at social hour to find Elena and pledge? In addition to our pledges, each week we get this opportunity to support the good work of this community of faith and hope, and I invite you to give as generously as you are able. And our offering will now be gratefully received.
Now is the time to seize the day. Stare down the odds and seize the day. Minute by minute, that's how you win it. We will find a way, but let us seize the day. Now is the time to seize the day. Stare down the odds and seize the day. Once we've begun, if we stand as one, someday become somehow. And a prayer becomes a vow. And the strike starts here and now. Now's the time to seize the day. Answer the call and don't delay. Wrongs will be righted if we're united. Let us seize the day. Houston to Harlem, look what's begun. One for all and all are one. Strike, 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 strike. Oh, strike. Now's the time to seize the day. Now's the time to make 'em pay. Nothing can break us, no one can make us quit before we're done. One for all and all for all and all. One for all and all for one.
So on behalf of Reverend Joe and the parish board, understand that we receive these gifts as a sign of trust from the congregation, and we pledge to do all we can to live in accordance with our mutual values. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back in the sanctuary. You may not recognize me because last time I was in here, I've been growing my beard for 2.5 months to make it big for Christmas Eve. And so I'm still the same guy, don't worry. Yesterday, in cities and towns across the country, including my little tiny town, people gathered and marched under a simple phrase, "No kings." Some of you were there. I was there. Some of you watched. I watched, honk my horn, as I went through Stoughton. Some of you chose not to go and held your questions close instead. And this morning we gather not to escape what is happening in the world, but to make meaning of it. To ask not only what happened yesterday, but who we are becoming because of it. Because protest can be loud. And faith, at least the kind that we practice here, asks something quieter sometimes and harder. Not just resistance, but responsibility. Not only resistance, but what are you willing to be responsible for? This morning began with a drum, soft and distant, and then one by one others joined until what was far away was here among us. And that's how movements begin. Not all at once, not perfectly, but person by person. This morning we heard the words of Marge Piercy in The Low Road, and during worship committee, when we collectively remembered the name of the poem, I was very excited because I love that poem. It didn't come with me and I couldn't remember it, but together we worked it out. A poem that reminds us that change doesn't happen all at once. It happens slowly through people who keep showing up, who keep choosing each other even when it's hard. And just before this moment now, we're yet led by our young people and saying, now is the moment to seize the day. Not someday, not when someone older gives us permission, now. A warning and a summons are in between them. We find ourselves on the morning after a march that declared no kings. A march in which an estimated 9 million people gathered across our country. And because I'm a nerd, you know this, I looked it up. That is more people than live in 40 states. Only 10 state populations are larger than that crowd. So when someone says it wasn't much, they're either trying to spin that or lying, or they're terrible at math. So, enough people showed up yesterday to overwhelm the population of 40 of our 50 states. Now, to understand what we're holding today, we need to go back to another crowded city, another moment full of tension and hope. It's known as Palm Sunday. And you did a great job today introducing the whole concept of Palm Sunday. Thanks. Many scholars suggest that on that day, there were two processions entering Jerusalem. From the one side, as Kay said, the Roman governor entered with soldiers and horses and power on full display, showing everyone who was in charge. From the other side came a different kind of procession, a teacher, a healer, a rabbi named Jesus or Yeshua, riding not a war horse, but a donkey. And here's the thing, Kay. You kept saying that donkeys were loud. I'm like, and they're also stubborn, right? Super stubborn. And the people gathered around this rabbi, laying down cloaks and waving palm branches, crying out, Hosanna. Now, we have been taught often that this was a gentle parade, but it wasn't. Palm branches were not decoration, they were a symbol. They had been used before when people rose up against oppression and found their freedom again. So when the crowd waved them, they were saying, we remember what freedom looks like and feels like. When they crowed Hosanna, they weren't being polite. They were saying, save us now. It was a public demonstration, a holy disruption, what we even might call a holy riot. Not a riot of destruction, but a riot of hope, a riot that says, the world as it is not the world as it must be. And this is where it gets a little complicated, because the crowd had expectations. They wanted change. They wanted freedom. They wanted someone to fix what was broken. And maybe, just maybe, they also wanted someone else to carry the weight of that change for them. But Jesus did something unexpected. He showed up. He accepts their cries. But he does not become the king they're expecting. Which brings us, I guess, back to yesterday. No kings. It's a powerful phrase. It says, no one stands above the rest of us. No one gets to decide who matters and who does not. But if we're going to say no kings out there, we must also say, do we want kings in here? Do we want someone else to fix everything? Do we wish that person existed? Do we want easy answers instead of shared responsibility? Because the temptation is not just to push back against power, there's a temptation also to replace it. Marge Piercy reminds us this: the work of justice is not one moment. It is the low road, the long road, the road where we keep showing up even when nothing seems to change right away. The road where we remember, if there are no kings, then there's no one to come in to save us. No one coming to save us. It's just us. And then come the voice of the young. Seize the day. Not someday, now. Not by grabbing power, not becoming louder than anyone else in the room, he says to the microphone. Not by turning into what we oppose. To seize the day is to choose how we will live right now. Yesterday, I saw someone at the march holding a sign, "We are the ones we've been waiting for." And since I've been a fan of Sweet Honey in the Rock for forever, that song was in my head. We are the ones we've been waiting. It's in my head all day. And that is both hopeful and a little scary. Because it's true, we cannot wait for someone else. We have to begin. And we know how the story of that ancient week goes. Not all the details happened yet, not yet. That comes later. But we know enough of the story on Palm Sunday when people challenge power this directly, when they say no to kings and no kings, when they step into the street and say, this is not right, there is always a response. And the crowd doesn't always stay the crowd. Sometimes it gets quieter. Sometimes it gets smaller. But it also gets clearer in its mission. And yet there are always some who do stay. The ones who do not turn away, the ones who stay close, the ones who tell the truth about what they have seen. Last year, we remembered them, the women who stayed to the end at the cross, the women who did the hard, holy work of not looking away. So if we are, as the sign said, the ones we're waiting for, maybe the question is not only, will we march? Will we speak? But also, will we stay? Will we stay when it's hard? Will we stay when it's no longer exciting? Will we stay when the work becomes quiet and slow and real? Palm Sunday tells us the people showed up. The voices rose. The hope was real. And still, the road ahead was long. So here we are, the day after the march, the morning after crying, "No kings," at the top of our voices. And the question is not whether the world needs changing. It does. The question is not whether we're called to act. We are. The question is, how will we seize the day without becoming the thing that we resist? How will we stand up for what is right and still see one another as human? This can be so challenging, so challenging. I, like perhaps some of you, have a gut reaction when I see some people walking around with masks and guns. Not just fear, but dismissal and anger and rejection. So I challenge myself, how can I still see them as human, as having inherent worth, when they're working so hard against everything I believe in? But isn't that our call as Unitarian Universalists? Yeah. To really, the whole diversity, whether we love it or not? How will we walk the low road with enough courage to begin, and enough love to continue. No kings, no saviors, no one above the work, just us, flawed, hopeful, stubbornly alive, choosing again and again to seize not power, but possibility. The day is here. The road is long. And listen, even when we leave this place, the echoes of the drums will not stop. I believe in us. Amen. Please come together to sing our closing hymn.
If the microphone could reappear up at the front, that would be amazing. And there was a music stand up here too. So as these things get assembled, I do invite everybody to stand as you're willing and able. As many of you know, and I know that many of you know this because you have sent it to me, there is a wonderful collection of protest songs that came out of the protests that have been going on in Minnesota. And this is from that collection. It's called Gather Your Courage, and it is a call and response, kind of like the first hymn we sang today. So again, you're going to hear John and Bob sing. With less drums, it should be more easy to hear them, and we will respond. But we're going to wait a moment because we have to get this microphone figured out. Here we go. Huzzah!
Hello, hello. All you?
All me.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Gather your courage into your heart. When we're together, we can start. Gather your courage into your heart. When we're together, we can start. Everybody show up. Everybody show up. Everybody rise up. Everybody rise up. Everybody shake it up. Everybody shake it up. Everybody here. Everybody here. Gather your courage into your heart. When we're together, we can start. Gather your courage into your heart. When we're together, we can start. Everybody speak out. Everybody speak out. Everybody reach out. Everybody reach out. Everybody shake it out. Everybody shake it out. Everybody here. Gather your courage into your heart. When you're together, we can start. Gather your courage into your heart. When we're together, we can start. Gather your power. Gather your power into your hands. Into your hands. Care for each other. On these lands, gather your courage into your heart. When we're together, we can start. Gather your courage into your heart. When we're together, we can start.
Please join in our unison affirmation as Alexienne. Would you come forward to extinguish our chalice with your entourage? Let us join first in Spanish, then in English. Apagamos esta llama, pero no la luz de la verdad, ni el calor de la comunidad, ni el fuego del compromiso. Estos los llevamos con nosotros y los ofrecemos para bendecir al mundo. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry with us and offer as gifts unto the world.
Go now, not as spectators, but as participants. The world does not need more kings. It does not need more people to stand above. It needs people to stand with. Go with courage in your hands and compassion in your hearts. Go willing to speak and willing to listen. Go knowing that change does not happen all at once, but it does happen when people refuse to give up on one another. And when the work feels long, and it will, remember, you are not alone. The rhythm you heard this morning, the gathering sound, it isn't finished. It continues. Every act of courage, every moment of care, and in every choice to show up for each other. So go, not to wait, not to watch, but to live the question, what will I do? Where will I go? And then, with whatever voice you have, with whatever strength you carry, seize the day. Go in peace.